Hey, stream. Hi, guys. So Paul, he slept in. He slept in. So we're gonna go ahead and make a drink, and this drink is what I call water. Uh, and there's a caffeine powder in here mixed with a little bit of strawberry and kiwi. And I'm gonna take the vodka. Oh, speaking of which, there he is now. He's calling me. Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm sorry, I'm fucking passed out and I'm running downstairs right now.
Okay, yeah. Well, I got the stream going, so just hop on in, bud.
I'm coming.
Oh, so he's still alive. I was worried. I thought he could have died, but he's not dead. He's here. So we're gonna go ahead and get things set up. Start a little bit later than normal. But anyway, you take that, then you take some vodka. Take some vodka, right? Got a little bottle here of vodka. Yep. We're just gonna go ahead and make a drink while this camera decides if it's gonna focus or not. Probably not, but it's okay because this is a clusterfuck day. There we go. A shot, maybe a few. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. We'll just shed her off to the side there, and watch. He's gonna be on here in like I don't know, two 2 minutes. I think is a good safe bet. So in that 2 minutes, I know there's probably not much for activity. Give her a little shaky poo, and you got yourself a good drink. Get yourself a good drink. How's the mic quality? It's up there. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Yeah, that's quite nice. That's quite nice. We got a lot to talk about today with the podcast. So we're going to get Paul in here, start the podcast, do the usual rigmarole of, oh, what are you drinking on today? You know, that shit. And go from there. But while we're waiting on Mr. Paul, I tell you what, if I wanted Windows 11 on this computer, I'd do it. Man, they make you jump through the hoops to not do it. I think I could just turn this guy on. How about that? How about them apples? Oh, I should probably update the category, huh? There we go. That's nice. So that's good to go. What a horrible haircut. Man, I got jacked up. It's because I did it myself. Hmm. All right. There's the dumbass. He's getting there. He's getting awake, guys. He's getting the butter out of his eyes, trying to push down his morning wood,
Oh,
afternoon
it's
wood.
quite difficult. Oh man, sorry about that.
Oh, you're good, bud. You're good. I started it on time, right? And I was like, he could have died for all I know. I wasn't sure what was going on.
Um, yeah, I went upstairs. I was like, I got that about 2.5 hours. I think this is 2 hours ago. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be sharp for this. I'm gonna go to bed and take a nap. And next thing I know, I'm literally getting shaken from my mother
Well,
awake. And I was like, what is going on?
the last
She's like,
time
your
I
podcast.
the last time I talked to you, I was like, "Oh, you're gonna get on here in like probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes," and this was about 3 hours ago. You said, "Oh, I'm on my way home," and then I couldn't get a hold of you. And I've been trying to call you for like the past hour. I'm like, "Well, my best friend's dead." I was like, "You should see the Snapchats in the group chat." We were all like, "Well, Paul's dead." So I called you a bunch. Everyone was like, "Oh, I don't know what happened to Paul. We haven't talked to him in a few hours." So like, "Oh, okay." And then I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna call his mom." So I type in Mama Maria, and I'm like, "Hey, is Paul still alive? And she was like, yeah, he's upstairs sleeping. Is he supposed to be awake? I was like, well, in 2 minutes, we're going to start recording. And she was like, oh, that dumbass. I was like, yeah, I'm glad he's
Yep.
alive.
Yep. That was me.
Yeah. So, bear with me just a second. Stream. We're going to go ahead and, yep, we're going to do that. Let's see. Turn this off real quick. We're going to get Craig in here, and he's going to record this bitch.
Craig.
Now recording.
Okay.
He's my favorite. Good old Craig.
Doesn't say much. Does not say much, but when he does say stuff, it's important. All right. So you nice and awake now, buddy?
I don't know about that, but I'm trying.
Yeah. You got
How about
coffee?
yourself?
What are you drinking on?
Actually,
Should probably get that
that's a
ready
really
too.
good question. Yeah, I should probably have a drink for, I don't know, drunkscussions. That would make sense, right?
Go grab yourself a drink. Be all right. We got a lot to talk about today, though. I'm excited. I've got I actually did a lot of research, and I actually tracked something down, and it did pretty well on TikTok, so I was pretty happy with that. There's a few conspiracy theories that we could talk about, but
Ooh, well then,
we still got to do the
well, how
intro.
many? Oh, yeah, well then with that, and that, let's just
Starter
run
up.
it. Yeah, send it. Let's jump into it.
Welcome back. Thank you guys so much for listening to Drunk Discussions podcast. Today I am here with Paul. My name's Connery, and Paul, did you decide on what you're drinking on today, bud?
Yeah, I'm gonna be drinking on some Blood Oath. Pack 8. With some of my favorites. It's a quick one. It's also the only one that's in my flask at the moment, and I can't find a glass. So we're gonna go with this. Prost.
Oh, cheers. I am drinking on vodka and energy water.
Noise.
It's like a homemade Four Loko. Little strong. I made it on the channel. Yeah. So how was your week?
My week went by slow, very slow, but it's over. Weekend is here. It is Saturday, so we're gonna have some fun. You're gonna talk everyone's ear off and move on. What episode? This
56.
56?
I believe.
50? I thought it was 50. I thought no, this is past 56
I don't
now.
know. Is what it is.
No.
I'm pretty sure it's 56 though.
Well, what about you? What are you drinking on? How was your week?
Vodka. It was okay. I stumbled across the egg situation, so that's when I did a bunch of research on eggs.
Oh yes, that's what we're talking about today. I forgot about that. You told
Yes.
me about this idea or conspiracy theory at the beginning of the week, and honestly, I have to say, would you be mad if we get into that now?
No, I wouldn't be mad, but we should probably roll that intro first, right?
Yeah, we should probably do that. You're not wrong.
Let's roll that intro.
Just for the sake of it.
What happened was we got caught up in a drunk discussion, and then he burned the bacon.
One giant leap for mankind.
Where we talk about everything and know nothing.
You know what I mean? So it kind of seems like a win-win-win.
Here's Gerald.
Telling everybody I'm dead. Just draw a dick on it. It's not offensive. It's a dick. Everyone's got a dick nowadays.
Dude, tell me more, because I don't know anything about it.
Oh, a flapper's a 1920s dancer, you motherfucker.
Got a lot of bagels. I like my bagels. Chug 30.
Cheers. Salud.
I mean, this shit's free, right? Monday morning. Chime on in.
Tranquility Base here.
Discussions.
The Eagle has landed.
All right, and we are back, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining Drunk Discussions. So, yeah, let's talk about eggs. We're not talking about, the eggs inside of a woman. We're talking about the eggs that are super expensive and all over the shelves. You can still find them. There's no shortage of them, really. It's just really fucking expensive. I think, I was buying eggs and eating eggs was eating almost a dozen a day, right? And now that's not sustainable. It is too expensive. It is not a cheap form of protein for me. So I have switched off of eggs to beans, but there's a reason. There's a reason. Not a good reason.
Yeah, you went deep diving into this, and down the rabbit hole, I would say, for this information this week, and it was very interesting on some of the stuff that you were finding. Then, did you ever connect the dots and you have like an aha moment, like aha?
Yeah, well, I didn't have a end of the rabbit hole, if you will. Like I didn't have research
So
into
it keeps going.
I didn't look for stuff specifically to fit my narrative. I just was researching questions that I had based off of what I found from the previous question I asked, and it just led me down the rabbit hole, asking questions and following money, essentially. But
Right.
it all started off of a TikTok. So there was this TikTok that I was watching about just a farmer. It was pretty viral. It had like 40,000 hits on it or something like that, 40,000 likes. And I was like, huh. She said her chickens weren't laying eggs. And I was like, oh, it's winter time. That's pretty common. And she's like, no, they haven't been laying eggs for almost 7 months now. And it's because of the food she was feeding them. She was feeding them a food that's commercially available. If you're familiar with chickens, or Tractor Supply, Rural King, there's this food called Producer's Pride. And Producer's Pride, I found out, is essentially the commercial food supply for the major hen having farms, if you will. So I did some research. I found out there's 4 top companies in the United States that produces eggs. And when it comes to chickens in general, Cal-Maine Foods is the number 1 producer of egg-laying hens. They have 46.78 million hens.
Fucking hell.
That's a lot of birds. They have a lot of birds. Roseacre Farms come in second with 27.59 million hens. Hillendale Farms with 20 million, and Versova Holdings LLP, weird name for a farm, for just a hair under 20 million. Anyways, but yeah, Cal-Maine uses Producer's Pride. So I started asking myself, I was like, well, who owns Producer's Pride? Right?
Right.
Good question to ask. Producer's Pride's owned by Purina. I was like, oh, well, everyone knows Purina. They basically feed all cats and dogs for the most part. They've had recalls, which isn't surprising because I found out who owns Purina.
That is who?
Nestle.
Oh, so like who we can have our water and our hot cocoa from?
Yeah, well, and a lot of other products. They're heavily involved there. But I also did a little bit more research. I was like, okay, well, let's look at the shareholders for Nestle. I said, let's look at, shareholders, because usually if they are major shareholders, they have a vested interest in the company's operations day to day. And it turns out that the major shareholder is Capital Research and Management Company. I looked at that. I was like, okay, it's a company, could be a shell company, could be a lot of things. So I just asked another question. I said, who's the major investor with this shareholder, right? Found out it's Microsoft. Microsoft is the number one shareholder for Capital Research and Management Company. Now, we all know who owns Microsoft, right? Bill Gates. But I also saw that BlackRock was just bought basically about the week before eggs went through the fucking roof, 118,000 shares with capital. And we've talked about BlackRock, we've talked about Vanguard, and everyone knows BlackRock is a piece of shit fucking company, right? They do not care about the general public. They, buy up as much land as they can. They're actually the number 1 holder of private properties in the United States. So rentals, Zillow. They also have a large control over the media. So does Vanguard. But anyways, fuck BlackRock in this situation. But I was wondering, why would Bill Gates want to have a vested interest in that, right?
He already has a vested interest in a bunch of like animal farmland, right? And grain and cattle. They have cattle. I'm pretty sure he has cattle.
So actually, Bill Gates is the number 1 holder of farmland too in the United States, which is weird. He's not much of a farmer, right? Well, there's a few avenues that could go. I'm asking these questions, right? I'm like, why would he care about owning owning interest, the number one share of interest in, commercial food for chickens? It's like, well, why are they not laying eggs? Chickens aren't laying eggs because they do not have enough vitamins, minerals, and other things in the food to be able to have the ability to lay chickens, right? Uh, Sorry, got a text. And then, yeah. So, anyways, he's making a little bit of money on this food. The food normally was going for $10 for 50 pounds. Now it's at $20. They've obviously cut their quality control on it. They're leaving out the quality of the food's going down. All this
Right.
stuff is going on. So he could be making money that way. That's the way I was looking at it. Could be making money on the fact people can't afford the eggs is another question I asked. I was like, well, why would he care if people weren't buying eggs? Well, they're too expensive. So they're going to resort to the next most affordable source of protein. And I was talking to my Cuban buddy about this. I said, and I was talking to him about this rabbit hole, and he was like, "No, that makes a lot of sense." Same thing kind of happened in Cuba, where a lot of people there, you eat beans and soy to get their protein, but it causes a lot of issues with high iron. There's a lot of other issues that it's causing with your gut health and a bunch of other things. So I was like, oh, so it's not a good thing. And he's like, no, but it is a good source of protein. So I did a little bit more research, and I remember this episode of Beyond Meat. Somebody was interviewing him. I can't remember who. And they were having an Impossible Burger. I can't remember who it was, but they were at Microsoft and they're having an Impossible Burger. But anyways, I found out that Bill Gates also has a vested interest in Beyond Meat's and Impossible, right? The soy and bean based burgers. So he's making a lot of money there too, right? You could go further down the rabbit hole and say, well, this farmland he's owning, he obviously is making money from renting it off to farmers. He's also making money on being a major shareholder with John Deere. And he also requires that any of these private farms that are farming his land has to use that proprietary product to farm. And another thing that the John Deeres use is Windows, right? So the machinery itself operates with Windows. How all this kind of stacks together and why, I don't know. But I just thought it was curious that all of that kind of played out the way it did.
It's kind of weird that you have this and you went down this rabbit hole and you're connecting all these dots off of seamlessly a fluke of info, really. Like out of nowhere, I feel like you hit me with this, and I was like, this is kind of genius. This is great. We have to talk about this.
Well, I wanted to know why eggs are so expensive. Eggs are so expensive not only because of the avian flu, and I didn't really find anything about that. It's one of those things that I feel like is just a shell to get people to take their mind off of all these back end investment deals that are going on. It's pretty common things. I mean, for example, 9/11, right? They bought up a massive fucking insurance plan before the buildings went down. Coincidence? I think not. But there was also
Coincidence? I think not.
so in December 27th, there was this article posted about how Nestle Purina was investing 110 million into a Clinton plant. Now, when I heard the name Clinton, I immediately went to, of course they're fucking involved. But it's actually Clinton plant, Grow Clinton, which is in St. Louis. So it's just the name of the plant.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, that's kind of where I got with that. And I just, why?
So, do you think that this man is purposely affecting the prices of eggs like right now? Do you really think that someone would be that heinous? I mean, okay, I don't think that. I want to reword that because, of course, there are people that are that heinous and fucked up. But for his own gain, do you think that Bill Gates would purposely sabotage an industry like that?
I think when it comes to financial gain for his vested interests, yeah, it would make sense. Why wouldn't it? If you
Right.
own all of the farmland and you have a product you're wanting to see blow up, such as Impossible or Beyond Meat, that's a good way to do it because in the beginning, when they first started talking about Beyond Meat and the Impossible, they always looked at the logistic bypassing of affordability factors, right? So you would look at the cost of chicken versus the cost of Beyond Meat, right? Or
Right.
cattle Beyond Meat. And it was always, that shit was fucking expensive compared to the alternative real source of it, right? Well, now it's actually cheaper to go get Beyond Meat fucking chicken nuggets than it is to get real chicken nuggets. It's
Also, they're making it more cost effective to the average consumer and average American.
It is. It's also a more affordable source of protein. I'm looking at it in the sense of what the fuck am I going to do when I went from eating a dozen eggs a day to get in a decent amount of protein to now I'm not, right? I can't
I
afford
think
that.
the thing that's so funny is it's like we try so hard to make these plants taste like meat. Like we obviously all like and love meat. So I don't hate on anyone's choice to eat you know, vegan or plant-based. But I just find it funny. It's like, why don't we just try to go for something that's appetizing? It doesn't have to necessarily be meat. But our whole goal with plant-based products is to have the texture of meat, the taste of meat. Like, I feel like there's got to be something else. I don't know. Like now we're seeing these companies come out that are doing lab grown meats where it's still meat, but it's not from an actual living organism.
So, an article from May 18th, 2022, labeled Bill Gates backed fake meat company Impossible Foods to launch in Britain. It says that Impossible Foods fake meat is made from proteins extracted from soy and potatoes, as well as flavorings and bindings. The company markets itself as a more ethical alternative to eating meat, promising the taste and consistency without animal bloodshed, which is delicious, by the way. Like blood dripping from a steak. Yes. Serve me up a double. Britain is the fourth new market in the company entered in 9 months, following the launch of Impossible Burger in Australia, New Zealand, and the United Arab Emirates last autumn. So this was in 2001. The UK has a unique and unrivaled chicken shop culture that we're confident our nuggets will compete because first and foremost, they taste better. They're also better for you and better for the planet. And there's more to come later this year, which is essentially when prices started going up. We'll be expanding to supermarkets and rolling out additional products. Impossible Foods meatless chicken nuggets first launched in the United States last year and become the company's top selling products and the fastest growing brand of the plant chicken based nuggets in the category. The company, whose rival includes Beyond Meat and Corn Foods, became a serious player within the restaurant scene when the Impossible Burger launched at Burger King's U.S. restaurants in 2019. The company was founded in 2011 and has raised over $2 billion in funding from investors, including Microsoft founder Bill Gates and Serena Williams. But I don't know if Serena Williams has that big of a vested interest in crashing the egg market. I think there's definitely a bigger reason behind all of it, especially when it comes to the quality of the food. I don't know why the quality of the food would be decreased other than to scrape by and make a few pennies. Nestle's definitely been pretty popular with all of that as well. But yeah, that's basically where I've gotten from there. So it's a big, to recap, essentially you've got producer's pride, the food that commercially almost every single commercial egg laying farm uses. It's owned by Purina. Nestle's owned by, or Purina owns Nestle, is owned by Nestle, sorry. The major shareholder for Nestle's Capital Research Management Company, the major shareholder for that is Microsoft, and Bill Gates has basically had his finger in every stage of food in the United States. Why?
So this man is going to be single-handedly the one to either save us or starve us.
I remember last year, 9 months ago. 9 months ago, I said this time next year, So May.
Yeah, your prediction was a little off, but
Well,
But-
it would be May or March of this year, essentially. There's going to be a massive starvation coming, is what I predicted, because of global trading, because of shortages in
the
food,
war.
the war. I
the
think it's
war. You fuck with the war?
I think it's less to do with the war, and I think it's more or less corporate greed. But there's another reason to all of this that I ended up digging further into, and that's FTX.
What?
Okay, so FTX is a company that basically dabbles, if you will, in digital cryptocurrency, right?
Right.
So
Right.
FTX,
This is the company that has had a bunch of shit recently in the news for stealing, and it's almost like a Ponzi scheme, right? They would go into large investors or large celebrities, get them involved in this company, and to invest in this company. That's saying like, oh, it's gonna make you a bunch of money, like crypto is the way. And then they crumbled, didn't they? Like he took investors' money and like went and partied. Like these kids, like literally, I mean, kids went and like party on boats and bought things that they couldn't have or afford. Meanwhile, not making or generating any new income from this crypto mining, correct?
right? So Sam Bankman-Fried was the one that was prosecuted on that, and he ran FTX. So one thing I was looking at is, why would FTX be crushed? Doesn't make sense why somebody, I think it was a year or two ago, somebody invested a few $1 billion into the digital crypto industry. That's why that big boom was going on with GameStop, with all these other things, right? Robinhood.
Right.
But the same thing happened that normally happens because of like Robinhood and FTX, for example. They started limiting trades going out, which was curious. There's definitely a bigger reason for that. And one of the reasons why I think that was happening is to limit people having access to their money and cause a issue in being able to be reliable, right? So you invest all this
Correct.
money into a form of cryptocurrency, expecting to have gains off of it, which really it's just a trading platform is all it should be. It's an unregulated trading platform, so funds can't be tracked. And then a few things started coming to light over the past few weeks, even. You may have seen that it was introduced that they want to get rid of income tax, federal income tax, and just do a one-way across the board tax for everything, right?
That wouldn't be necessarily smart though. Because then we won't have brackets depending on, that'll just, I feel like, make the gap between rich and poor wider.
Yes and no. So they had a basic level corporate tax that you had to pay, right? So I think they had it at like 21%. And then you had middle class and lower end class, and each bracket had its own amount that they had to pay, but it was across the board. So they would get rid of, state taxes would probably still exist, but it would be on the federal level. So anything you pay federally for taxes, it'll also get rid of the IRS, because the funds would be tracked and then you wouldn't get anything back, right? You would just pay it across the board, but it would go to things like infrastructure, healthcare, Social Security, all these things. I don't think it's a bad idea, but
It's a socialized form of taxation then.
right. But it came at an interesting point in time. It came as a few weeks before January 19th of this year, which was curious to me. I'm thinking to myself, why would you do that? Well, if you don't know, the U.S. hit its debt ceiling, right? We hit the top.
Again?
Yeah, and nobody's willing to budge on anything, raising the debt ceiling, anything. So they are saying, hey, let's go ahead and pull from Social Security. Let's pull from government spending to continue paying bills and making sure the lights stay on. So what is...
No government shutdown this time, though, because last time there was a big ordeal, and oh no, we can't pay our congressmen to do absolutely jack shit, so let's just shut the government down.
Yeah, essentially. But what has happened is now the U.S. is kind of looking at this of, why don't we just go to a different form of currency? So in my eyes, I think what may end up happening, and this is my own view, I don't know if it will happen, but if it happens, fucking hell, this will relate back to this podcast, and I'll be like, see, today is January 21st, Connery was fucking right. It may not happen. Be fucking crazy if it did, though. I think what's going to end up happening is the idea of a federal based system of monetary transaction. The US dollar will go extinct. I think they're going to start switching it over to a digital cryptocurrency. And here is why. Everything is tracked. Every single penny can be taxed. They know where every single penny is going. If you phase out the US dollar, you're able to track everything, which is why that across the board tax would make sense, because now you know where every single US dollar or every single crypto dollar, whatever, everywhere it's going. But it would also, I would imagine, so the US is okay with this, it would be illegal to do other forms of digital cryptocurrency. So the Bitcoin would go to the wayside. Everything would go to the wayside. And with this massive crash that's already happened with cryptocurrency, I see that happening.
And you see this happening even though majority of not just conspiracy theorists, but theorists in general, think that the bank owns us. They own everyone. You really think that a currency covered banking system like that, one that relies on the US dollar and international currency, is going to just up and switch to a digital form overnight? I don't know about that.
Well, how would you make the banks follow in suit with what you're doing?
They'd have to give them, for the amount of money that they have now or existing currency, a same or similar form or a size of currency into Bitcoin or whatever we call it, crypto. I don't see the banks just going to take an L and potentially fold. Like they're not going to let that happen.
Why
That would
not?
cause a massive recession probably overnight.
What happens if a bank gets robbed? They have insurance on it.
Right. But there's not going to be that much insurance on billions, if not trillions of dollars is just sitting into our reserves.
Well,
I don't know about that.
Major key banks are already federally backed. There's federally backed lending. There's federally backed transactions. It is pretty common. Anything over $10,000 is being tracked, which goes to show, what's 100 times 99, Paul? Motherfucker, you can solve that math easy. Don't look at me like that.
Muted. What's up? 100 times 99.
Yeah, it's $9,999.
Yeah, math. That math shit.
That's $1.
I'm drinking. You don't ask a drunk man math.
That's $1.
How dare you, sir?
That's $1 under what?
So, what was the total number again?
God damn. 9.
Cheers to the math.
Fucking hell. Cheers.
Second stool, kids.
$9,999 is under the $10,000 mark, and if you surpass a $10,000 transaction, it has to be reported, right?
So you just do everything under $9,000? Like,
no, I'm making a point. When Trump released his trading cards, what was the maximum a single household could buy?
9,999.
Yeah. You know how many people bought that? It's not released because he doesn't have to fucking report on it. He basically just got millions of dollars that he doesn't have to report to the IRS for campaign funds.
That's sick bastard.
Smart.
Very smart. I can't hate on that. The man always, no matter you like him or hate him, love him or not, whatever, he always found a way to use and exploit the loopholes that are literally given in front of him.
Going back,
you can't hate the man for that.
Going back though to Bill Gates. That question though, why would he do all this, has been weighing heavy on my mind, and I think it's because of that prediction I made last year. I honestly see it becoming too hard or too expensive for the average American family to be able to afford food. And I do see lower class people starting to hit a struggling. I'm not talking ramen noodles. I'm talking really hard to live.
Have been talking for a while now of another major recession coming to us, and that's scary. That would be our third for us, right? Third.
I mean, we're technically in one right now.
But I'm talking like they're talking worse than in 2008, and we're due for it here soon. So I can see everything that you're saying coming into fruition, and I'm scared for that. I think a lot of Americans are scared for that. It's like most of our parents and our grandparents didn't have to deal with a governmental or an economic collapse, and we've done it twice now.
Yeah,
Um,
if I had a fucking nickel for every time I've witnessed a recession, I'd have 2 nickels, and that's two more than I really wanted to have.
I'd have more nickels if I didn't have a recession.
Yeah.
But they're talking about it. Another complete recession, almost like another potential housing market crash. Which I think so. I can see that. I know. We've been talking about it for a while now. The car market, and we've been seeing a lot of new car sales, and then the increased side value of used cars. Like used cars, side value or secondhand value is increasing exponentially, and new cars are actually going down, and that's going to make a bottleneck or a choke point onto the population. And when it could be the car industry, it could be the housing, but there will be an industry that will cause us to go into another recession again. Um, the question is what? And I'm from the sound of it is like you're sounding like it's going to be agriculture. Agriculture is what's going to lead us into this potential next recession.
Well, that would make sense. Even and I'm reading an article as you're talking about Bill Gates owning this farmland, and it looks like it's his investment groups that have decided to own all of this, right? His investment groups also being part of the that fucking group that I was just pointing out. What the fuck was that?
The fucking group? What kind of fucking group are you in?
The Capital Research and Management Group. It's basically that group that's decided, hey, you should own all this farmland, but it's also the same group that's a majority shareholder of the fucking feed, essentially, for, well, a lot of U.S. Americans, even
Here's my
Nestle.
question. They have the feed. Do they also have their hands in the actual farms themselves, these chicken farms?
I didn't, that was a good question. I don't know. Well, you should check that. Yeah, I mean, this isn't all Connery researching, okay? Come on, Paul.
Hey, this was the one that you wanted to dig deep dive into.
I know.
And you went down the rabbit hole. Like this was middle of the night, like 12 o'clock. And he's just, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, fucking red bloodshot eyes just digging through the middle of the internet.
Look, there's a few things that I've researched. Like, remember that one guy? There's that politician that I think we ended up having a touch of the tism, and he was commenting like fake stories, and I was like, "What is this guy?" He commented on another politician's post, and I saw him, and he had like this crooked tie
I
on,
remember this.
and he was like, you stole this election from me when you disgraced my name in front of a public meeting." And I researched his profile, and I went probably through, I found out he has his own, not Mein Kampf,
Book. He had his own book or manifesto.
like Mein Kampf.
Yeah.
Minus the whole, genocide side of it. But yeah, I ended up going down that deep rabbit hole, and I found out everything there was to know about him, where he was born, like full 9-yard background.
By his book that you started reading some of it, and the reviews killed me. I think there was one, and like the guy was like, at no point in time does this dude decide to use a period or punctuation.
Yeah,
Just
no.
it's a one long run-on sentence throughout the entire book. Could you imagine sitting there with like no punctuations in anything?
This guy would use all 3,000 character spaces on every single Facebook comment. He was like, I got to get my word out there, and I'm not letting periods get in my way. That's a period.
It's true. And then he would like comment on his comments on stuff, and like no one commented back to the man. Like he was just commenting on his own comments. But there's some crazy politicians out there. There's that the gentleman from, I believe, Idaho that wears a boot on his head. And he said some crazy things. Have you seen him?
You're talking about, I thought that was the Swedish prime minister. The one that wears a
No,
boot.
he's from like Idaho. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna look it up real quickly.
Yeah, Idaho. Anyways, back into this article. Although Gates owns these farms, he isn't changing their practices. Instead, he mostly acts as a landlord and allows professional farmers to keep doing their thing, even if those practices are ruinous to the environment. Similar to a private equity firms destabilizing the housing market, BlackRock, millionaires and billionaires investing in farmland are also creating their own set of issues, as they are now pricing out young farmers looking to buy land. That sounds very, very fucking familiar. So I guess the question would be, why do all these old cunts want to price out the younger generations from anything? Housing, food, farming?
So the man is Vermin Supreme. Vermin
That's right.
was born in 1960 or 1961. I don't know how you don't know that. Apparently, he was born in the hills. Who knows? He was a performance artist and activist who ran as a candidate in his local, state, and national elections in the United States and Utah under the Libertarian Party, but secretly under his own party of socialism and socialists wearing hats. The Supreme is known for wearing a boot or a rubber boot, like what you'd think about marching around in the mud. He's wearing that on his head, and he has said some crazy things. Actually, including he's brought up some interesting points along what we are saying right now with farmland and how our ecosystem and agricultural system is getting corrupted. So once you said this and you went down your rabbit hole, I was like, let me look at this freaking guy. He's batshit crazy. This man is absolutely bonkers, Connery. If you watch some of his speeches, it's quite entertaining. So I recommend everyone to go out and look up Vermin Supreme and watch some of his videos, just for a chuckle out of everyone. You'll thank me later.
I found something else. So you remember the new Jurassic World that just popped out where he brought back the old cast?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was a bad movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was one thing that caught my eye, and it was the seed, right? He genetically engineered those locusts not to go after the plant that they manufactured on their own. So
Correct.
it looks
So
like...
he caught a strike. Oh my God, I can't talk. He would change the agricultural system completely in that show, which I got it, but it's like, why don't you also just kill the pesticide to kill the locusts?
Well, it looks like Bill Gates has a major, basically future agri-tech company that basically works on creating super seeds. The problem with these seeds, though, is they're proprietary. And there's also a good chance that they could be invasive to other farmlands. So imagine that. Imagine owning a majority of the farmlands in the United States spread over 18 different fucking states. Enough farmland to basically fill the entire state of Rhode Island. And he's planting his proprietary seeds. My God, this could be an innuendo of eggs and seeds this entire episode.
I mean, that's what we're going to call it now.
Yeah.
It's just going to be eggs and seeds, and people are going to be so confused. And then when they come to listen to this podcast, they'll be like, "Ooh, we're getting the sex talk. Let's do this." Little do they know, it's not more so the birds and the bees.
So a typical farmer may plant anywhere from 75,000 to 250,000 seeds per acre to maximize as much seed yield advantage as possible. Climate change, inefficient farming practices, inclement weather, and plant disease are a few of the reasons why farms fail to maintain their true yield potential. Gates, a well-known philanthropist concerned with food insecurity in developing nations, could be betting that the next advancements in seed technology will be furthered on American farms. Seed technology, which again would be proprietary, you have to have basically permission to plant those seeds. And imagine those.
And it's funny because, like, living here in the Midwest, right? Many of us, including yourself, when you go driving down the road during spring or summer, you will see cornfields, soy fields, wheat, whatever. And there's signs. There's always signs for the owner of those seeds. Every farmer who plants these seeds has to put up the specific company that he got his seeds from, and you'll see signs for all these different manufacturers through. I mean, we're a flyover state, like it's Ohio, like we have a lot of corn and a lot of soy, so there's signs of these everywhere. And I'm wondering what I need to see the logo of Gates's sign and like his company for these seeds, because if I start seeing these fuckers popping up everywhere, I'm just gonna start wearing my tin hat every day, just aluminum foil up.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. So it's called Gates Ag One, a non-profitable charitable firm. Yeah, right. It'll help farmers in developing countries, or help developing countries access agri-tech, improving farm tools, learn how to maximize better yield, and better adapt to climate changing seeds. But he's working on super crops essentially.
And that's kind of crazy to me. Like, this man is going to end up potentially single-handedly running our private section of agriculture, which it can either go in a positive way that he wants or a negative. But with him having all this liquid capital in, alternative forms of protein and seeds and everything else, I can see where you're connecting these dots and how it drew you down this rabbit hole. Like, if I would have found this out, I'd probably been in the same state when I called you, just all fucked up in my, my one eye's pointing one direction while one's on the computer.
So you dig a little bit deeper, and Bill Malone is actually the number one owner of farmland. He actually owns 2.2 million acres of farmland in the United States, which is 4 times as much as Bill Gates. But
For now.
he's a business
For
development. Yeah, he's just a business development executive. He is a senior partner with the Interface Financial Group, vice president of Hewlett Packard Enterprises. He's basically just been VPs of a bunch of different industries. I don't know. But the major reason why you would want to own the farmland, Paul,
Yeah.
and that's kind of my topics I want to talk about. We could have talked about glitter too.
Oh my god, your whole glitter conspiracy too. Like, we can save that for next episode if you want
Save
to.
that for next time because
It gets
it's
super glittery.
yeah, we could just whore up. Why
Only on the nipples.
why would
Only on
you
the
want to
nipples part
own
of it.
the major source of food? Control.
Yeah, control. And it's also because like it's a section of our, growth domestic products like ourselves. We have one of the major things that we are known for as America is being like a grain basket. Like we produce wheat and corn and these grains for around the world. Like if this war doesn't seem to come to an end, right? For a while now, it seems like we are the major exporter of all of our foods because we're taking care of NATO countries during this wartime. Because usually, like you've talked before in other podcasts and in past episodes, Ukraine, Russia, these other major grain countries are the ones supporting these other countries around Europe and Indonesia and throughout Indo-Euro or Asia. But regardless, we're like number 3 in the world scheme of grain, right? Because it was Russia and Ukraine that were technically ahead of us for a little while anymore, or anyway.
Yeah.
Is that right? If I remember correctly from the past podcasts?
Yeah. I mean, we're up there. We're one of the few countries that really doesn't have to worry about producing, not enough food to support our
for
population.
population wise, we're good on that. But I'm just saying we're not just supporting our population anymore. We're supporting the population of, like France and Germany and Poland and Lithuania and, these other countries that are normally getting grain and food from Ukraine and Russia. And, that's their major importer is from those two countries for food. We're changing that. And because of this war going on.
Hey, cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Yeah.
And then some people are now saying we're sticking our fingers in this war more so because we're making a penny on this food.
Well, I mean, it's also control. It's just like when, so what was it before 2014 is when we really showed how we didn't have a control over it anymore. The main reason why we were the world superpower is because of our Navy. We were able to protect global trade. All the major trade routes, we were basically the superpower of protecting the seas and the trades and the ports. Now, I mean, not really, not anymore. That dropped in 2014 when one of our own cargo vessels were attacked by pirates and we didn't do anything about it. You okay?
Yeah, I had a cough, but look at me. I am the captain now.
Yeah. Tom Hanks actually just did a, Good Mythical Morning, right?
I know, and it wasn't even with Rhett or Link. They were pissed. They were pissed. I would have been pissed too.
I watched it
Tom
before.
Hanks is on good. What is it? It's a Mythical Kitchen.
Mythical Kitchen, yeah, with Josh. It was really good. Josh is not the best interviewer, but he's got a touch of the tism. He reminds me of my little brother a lot, but he's a smart kid.
He's just socially awkward in some situations, but Tom Hanks can kind of be that way too, though.
Oh, it was a good pair.
It was a good pair. It was a weird show. Something else I wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
we've talked about a lot lately, but now it's just coming into us full wave. UAPs again. We had a lot of activity this past week.
How many videos did I send you? Like 30.
A lot. And they're more of the typical shapes of UAPs and UFOs that we've been seeing. We've talked about the pill before. We've seen all your beer goggles on. Is that what's going on?
No, but we need to have a shot, bud.
Oh, cheers.
Actually, I think I might actually do a legitimate shot. Speaking of which, did you ever
drink out of the bottle?
No, did you ever figure out the whole Twitch what we're allowed to do?
No, I'm gonna do that after this
Okay.
podcast. I barely made it in time for this. I feel bad alone. Cheers.
Oh, Prost.
But where was I at? Oh, UAPs, UFOs. So this past week we had a huge upsurge in UFO sightings, and Russia was one of the major areas where we've been seeing these sightings, including near Ukraine borders and where war is happening, where this battle is going on. But I'm gonna kill these. Valesky Gublev, whatever.
Yeah.
The governor of Rostov-Okhotsk wrote in a telegram that a small-sized object in the shape of a ball was caught flying in a wild formation and over mid-sized Russia on January 3rd and in January 5th, and then on January 10th, they shot down this object and said that they took it for liquidation.
Yeah.
The government openly comes out in Russia and just says, "Yo, we actually have one of these UFOs in our custody now."
I actually
So they're
believe that. I do,
I
because
do
the
too.
sightings
I do too.
the sightings on the 17th, all the way from basically the 15th to the 17th, was almost every single state and every single country posting videos. And I'm so happy cell phones exist now and people are actually able to record this shit. Actual sightings of the sphere. It's been shown
All over TikTok. People have got it. People thought it was fake, that it was like actually just edited. And if you've seen some of these videos, we might post them to our Facebook if we're even allowed to for our page. I definitely think everyone should take a look at them. They're definitely more interesting when it comes to the UFO phenomenon that we have talked about. They're unlike what we've normally dealt with. Like we've dealt with the tube or the pill shape, which we have captured some of those images recently again with them coming in contact with volcanoes or being over top of an active volcano and then disappeared. There was one over Los Angeles where a bunch of drivers were stopped and parked looking at this, and as they were, getting chased by helicopter, it just disappeared and took off. Like it seemed it was there in an instant, it was gone. And then you now have multiple, and I mean like 5 or 6 sightings of this ball-shaped sphere that eludes not just the US and NATO army on the edge of Poland, but then you now have Russia saying that they have actually confirmed and shot this thing down, which is wild because everyone's seen the video of it being chased by F-16s or whatever they were, 22 Raptors, and it's like this thing seems like it's going slow until you see the F whatever Raptors chasing after this thing. Like you're like, oh damn, well, that's quick.
And a few of the videos are obviously fake. Like there was one video I saw, he was on the back road, and you can tell it was decent video quality, but the problem is the video quality was too good for what was going on. It was too stable.
I know which one you're talking about. That was shot. That video is not faked and now proven now. That video is shot from inside a Tesla. He used 16 of the cameras on his Tesla to record that video. And you know what's even weirder is they had to hack the car to receive that information and that pictures, because now it is 4 times where a car with video capabilities has captured UFO experience, but for some reason the cameras in the vehicle during that time on most of these do not work. They try to retrieve the data and it's like the cameras somehow were tampered with during the time of recording this videos or this UFO. But this one finally got it, and people are losing their mind because everyone's thinking it looks fake. It looks so unbelievably clear for the first time on a UFO. It's not black and white. It's not blurry. It's not 1,000, million feet in the sky. This thing is literally just a half a mile above the ground.
Not even. I mean, it's
not
right
no. It's
there.
literally like this. They said it was about an average altitude of half a mile.
So
what this thing was flying.
To give people an idea of what we're talking about, if you haven't seen the videos, it is basically a reflective, almost silver sphere that doesn't emit anything. So there's no gases
You've
coming
seen
out
the
of it.
ball in the Mandalorian that the little Grogu is so obsessed with, the little chrome ball.
Just
That's
like that.
all it is. It's literally a chrome ball that is just flying through the air, hovering. No noise, nothing. Like you hear our our vehicles in air, and we're using ram air and jets, and it's loud, and you're hitting the sound of sonic boom, and there's definite forces that we're going around with the air and resistance. This ball, nothing. It is smooth. It's transitioning. It is literally defying our laws of gravity. So there are other
Basically friction.
laws of gravity.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's anti-gravity.
yeah, there's the laws of gravity, friction, anything does not apply to it. There's no wind drag. There's nothing. It just glides. It is pretty cool. I'd love to know more, and I'm sure like Russian media has maybe having a part into it. Which I know this is like we get drunk and we talk about conspiracy theories. We're not complete conspiracy theory nuts by any means. I'm not telling you the frogs are turning gay. I'm not talking about any of that shit. But at the same time, like, it would kind of make sense. Russia would come out and say, no, we shot one of those down. And then all of a sudden there's a massive influx of it.
Well, do you think they actually did it? Or do you think this is something that they're doing to make it seem like they have a hand ahead of us? We're not openly talking about this to our public, right? You have to search it or, go through the dark web, or what I call dark web is just TikTok. Going through TikTok or these social media platforms. And it almost comes off our governments or surrounding familiar governments are saying it's like it's a hoax, right? It's fake. But then you have Russia openly saying to their population, nah, dude, we chased this thing down. We don't know what it is. We shot it down and we liquidated it to figure out more. So they're going to be testing and doing R&D on this craft if they really do have it.
Or maybe it is the Russians.
It's the Russians. You never know. It's a shot in the dark. They could really have it, or they could just be absolutely pulling everyone's balls.
What if it? Hear me out on this one. What if it's another monolith thing? Remember the first monolith popped up, and then everyone
we freaked out about that. Everyone did. Everyone freaked out about that.
Is this some bullshit 6 months from now? Some digital designer is going to pop out on TikTok and he's be like, "You guys remember this huge conspiracy theory? I was actually the one that did it."
Here's my thing, right? So with that, now we have multiple entities, multiple governments saying that this happened. There's videos of this object not only keeping up speed-wise with helicopters and excuse me, F-16s and F-22s, but could seamlessly stop at an instant and change direction at any point. We have this now on video of it stopping, going, and completely eluding what it's being that are chasing after them. But the same day, actually not the same day, this was 4 days ago, the grind and U.S. infos from the United States Pentagon UFO report finds that most of reported incidents are balloons, drones, or trash.
Well, and I did see one video where there was like 3 or 4 helicopters, and then that little ball. It was obvious because there was stuff coming off of it that was an older video, and I think it was from the California wildfires where they had that bucket of water that they would like pull out of people's pools. And I think that was a video that somebody reposted to try to get views. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. At the same time, though, what if it is just one giant hack?
The one that you sent me, right, where it's like a helicopter and there's 2 other helicopters around it, and there's a ring almost around this thing. I can see what you're saying, as that's from the wildfires, but that's not. That one was what people believed as was one of the tube ones, but that one I can understand that potentially being like from then. But the one from the vehicle dash cams and then Russia themselves saying like, we just did this. That's big news. I feel like a lot of people are overlooking this and like purposely overlooking this, trying to draw an eye away from it, because more and more we're getting more attention onto this topic. It's happening more and more. It used to be like every once in a while, every once in a month or so. It's happening monthly at this point, where we're having large scale information being revealed, not just from the US, but other countries involving UAPs or UFOs.
Well, I mean, even the declassification that Trump did with the Area 51 documents and videos, you had...
And Pentagon.
Yeah, you had videos released that show what we're talking about, and the videos that just popped up into the TikTok atmosphere show basically the same movements that government released videos show. The ball, it is a ball shape. It is able to move in directions that are not capable that we know of.
That no government or no person has the ability to, that we know of right now, to reach this speed, because you're breaking the laws of physics. This thing is, whatever it is breaking what we know or we understand to be our laws of physics here on this planet. This is completely going around it. It's going around our gravitational pull, how our gravity works in general, or anything, and it can seamlessly move in any direction without any propulsion system at all. So I mean,
Wouldn't it be fucking
this
nuts?
is awesome. I love hearing this shit. I love it, because, and then you also have, it was a couple of years ago, it was during Trump's reign, when the ex-prime minister of Israel came out saying, like, we've already made contact. So, like, we're gonna drink to that. Are you just gonna keep pretending to jerk yourself off on camera?
Well, it's funny,
Cheers.
on stream, nobody knows the hand motions I'm making when you're talking because it splits video. By the way, if you
No.
haven't checked this out on Twitch every Saturday at 6 p.m., unless Paul sleeps in, it was what, like
Not
6:03
wrong.
when we
Yeah.
started today. But anyways, check us out. We put up this new format. It's almost like a director's in charge, changing
I'd
cameras.
love to hear what you guys think on it.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your feedback if you like this or the stationary. If you want to see us all and like our reactions, if you'd like that better, let us know and how you see on that.
But anyways,
But I guess
real quick,
with
yeah. Before I know it's about that time. Wouldn't it be fucking nuts if it's a time traveler or time travelers?
which we've talked about. We've said, what if it's us coming back to look at our fucked up stupidity of the past? Like, that's always a theory. That's always a theory. Everyone's going to have their theories of what this is until we actually find out the answer, or we're allowed to know the answer.
They come back.
But there's also the Galactic Federation that people are saying, this ex-prime minister of Israel saying we've already met with 8 different species and that we're part of a galactic, federation.
We all know
That'd be kind of cool. That'd be awesome.
We all know government officials fucking get high off their tits on ayahuasca. They have to. They get together, they have their yearly party, and they see things they shouldn't see when they're high off their tits. Remember we were talking about the owl?
Yes.
Yeah.
The owl, you mean fucking at Bohemian Grove? Is that what you're talking
Bohemian
about?
Grove, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Good old fucking Tom. But I mean, my thing is here, right? More and more every single day, our government and other governments are releasing info saying, like, you know what? We really have no idea what the fuck this is. Just to get us used to it, I feel like, and more desensitized. We're having more movies about alien encounters. More of them are being, at least recently, more of them are being less aggressive to the idea of it. It's not like, hey, let's just nuke the aliens when they get here. That's not always a great decision. Independence Day, cough, cough. But the thing is what if way down the road, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, whatever, when it happens down the road, we look back on this and we laugh because they've been here the whole time. What if they're already here and we are already coexisting? They're already on our planet. We're already in a galactic federation, if said, and it's like they just have to live incognito in a little bit of time until we as the public are fully able to comprehend the fact that it's not just us.
Do you think we should probably end it, bud? We should probably end it. It's getting late, but let's ask one more question. All right. My question is, do we have any listener questions? We haven't done this in a minute, so I'm sure they may have stacked up. You look at that. I have a question for you, though. Do you think the reason why so many people are being priced out of anything in life right now, when it comes to food, when it comes to living conditions, when it comes to healthcare, and I know this is very biased because we do have a lot of listeners in other countries, and you guys are going through things that we have no idea, can't relate to.
Can't comprehend even.
Yeah. I'm talking US only here. And when you're watching any type of movie, when it comes to disaster, let's be honest, it's always America, right? The fucking meteor hits Tampa. Fucking a plague starts. It's in Missouri from some
dinosaurs. It's a dinosaur invasion. It's happened in the U.S.
It's in the U.S. All right. Look, we have more natural disasters here than any other country, according to Blockbuster cinemas. But anyways, I don't know. I'm fucking on a drunk tangent. Do you think all these billionaires are doing it because they're wanting to go ahead and just fork money over to get the fuck off of Earth because they know something's coming that we don't?
Oh, I have a gentleman. I'm not going to say his name. I work with him. He's an interesting fellow, and he's actually listens to the podcast. And he thoroughly believes on a lot of things where I start laughing. I can't help it. I love him. He's a great guy. He thinks definitely, we'll say, outside of the box. But I'll go on a tangent real quickly. What some of the things he believes in. One, he believes that Bigfoot is an alien and that we have species that we deal with, and that's why a majority of sightings of Bigfoot are on government-owned properties or land, and that why we don't ever shoot or go after them is because it would start an international incident.
Wait a
Yes,
second.
I
Wait a
said
second. Do you think the U.S. government has a resort for aliens?
I think so. If we have an Area 51 or something, like it's like MIB in this bitch. You walk in, they look at you. You got to greet the worms and keep going.
You walk in and there's just fucking Tokwaka just getting his toes scrubbed down by a bunch of fish. You're like, what the fuck is that? He's got 32 feet. And it's just like a day spa that
You just hear him. You mess with the worm, you get the urn.
extraterrestrials just come here for a day spa. They turn on the news and it's just a bunch of fucking idiots on
and then-
CNN and Fox News.
We were sitting there bullshitting. I was like, okay, then why haven't they told us? And the next idea is that since we're pushing out so many microwaves and radio signals and these signals for our entertainment, that the aliens or international community is also doing the same. We are a universal entertainment planet. We are giving the music and the videos and the cinema and the comedy to everyone else. Like that's why they haven't interrupted it. We're like one big ass fucking reality TV show.
Okay. What's the entertainment channel called? It's not MTV. It's not.
No.
Or what was the we've got
Here's
the
the thing, though,
drama? What was that one?
We could not even be called Earthlings to them. We could be called like Schnarfs. The Schnarfs next episode. Like it doesn't matter. We don't know what they speak or their language. It could be anything.
The majestic sea flaps.
The sea flaps. These water people made of 75% water, living on a planet of water that they can't even drink.
All right, guys. Well, we all love you. Thank you guys so much for listening to Drunk Discussions podcast. You guys can find us wherever podcasts can be found. If you enjoyed this podcast and you want us to stay more or less in the conspiracy side of things, where I dive deep into shit and just, I don't know, go down the rabbit hole, let us know.
Keep telling us. Tell us what you think. Tell us your feedback. Guys, if you join our lives, for all of our live listeners right now, I'm looking at all of you. You can comment. You can say things and we can even read them during our live and help with this podcast. So all of our listeners, get involved. If you want us to grow, the only reason we're as big as we are now is because of you. So help us reach our goal where we're wanting to get to. I think it's 10,000 or less podcasts, as we said. We can do this. We can do this. It takes you guys to do it.
We're a quarter of the way there. We can do it. I know our Twitch seems small right now, but when it comes to podcasts, we're getting there. We're growing pretty quick.
We're growing on Apple Podcasts and Spotify like wildfire. We're just trying to grow in other realms of media and social media. So give us our info that you guys want or feedback that we need to hear. Yep. So let us know. Reach out to our email or any of our social media platforms. We do listen. We do read all of that. So hit us up.
We do. Love you guys. Peace.
Peace.